September is almost here, which means our August month-long sub-battle is almost over. And unfortunately, we still have not passed the Heat Report and Nick Roloff. I hate losing the Miami Heat Report. More importantly, I hate losing to Nick Roloff. So if you guys want to beat the Heat Report, all you have to do is hit that sub button right now. Help us pass them, and let's go on ahead into September with our heads held high. Let's talk about why Payton Pritchard is going to shock the NBA, because as Celtics fans, we already know what PP is capable of. He's a phenomenal basketball player, but I don't think people really appreciate the path that he had to get the role on the Celtics that he has now. This is why I think in the upcoming year, Payton Pritchard is going to be talked about a lot more as a serious guard that also happens to be on the best team in the NBA. Because if I want to give you guys a synopsis here of what Payton Pritchard has done in his time in the NBA, it was definitely a very windy road. You got to think all the way back to last year when this man wanted to be traded in the month of June. But now you're watching a player that has actually elevated his position right in front of your eyes. He went from a very heavy catch-and-shoot point guard to actually very efficient when it comes to his ball handling skills, when it comes to his playmaking abilities, offensive rebounding, even shooting from way downtown. He's solidifying a name for himself. He just happens to be on the best roster in the NBA, which is why he's probably a backup guard for the Celtics, but may not be a backup guard for any other team in the NBA, but sucks to suck, he plays for us. So here's 3 reasons why I think PP's next level is going to be huge. He has a top NBA contract. I'm not the one that said that. It's actually a Bleacher Report article that I'll bring up in just a few moments, but I want to throw you guys back to all the way last year. Payton Pritchard signed a 4-year contract extension worth $130 million. And then what's crazy is the fact that Brad Stevens saw this way before. $30 million. Way before we saw this, not $130 million. He would be starting. Nonetheless, 4 years, $30 million. They saw this a year before he even elevated his game. And this is when it starts to kick in. He'll make $6.5 million this year, then 7.2, 7.7, 8.3. He doesn't even reach the surface level of what the Boston Celtics are paying for their payroll this upcoming year, but he does have a huge role and a big factor on this Boston Celtics team. Here's what Bleacher Report had to say about his contract and why they think it's one of the top contracts in the NBA. Eric Pincus said, with Boston heavily invested in players like Brown, Tatum, Holiday, and White, Pritchard's economic deal is extremely valuable. His minutes jumped from 13.5 on average in 2022-23 to 22 minutes per game last season. His scoring also climbed to 9.6 a game on a 38.5% shooting from downtown. Pritchard played a regular rotation role through 19 playoff games as the Celtics went on to win the title. He'll earn just 4.8% of this year's $140 million salary cap. This is the article that Bleacher Report put out. They put out the top 12 NBA contracts heading into the season, and they had Payton Pritchard listed as number 8. Keep in mind, this contract extension was handed a year ago when Brad Stevens saw what Payton Pritchard could be. All he did this year was solidify himself as a top guard on a top team that when you saw Payton Pritchard come in, you didn't think, shit, now we're going to drop 12 points. Now we're going to allow the team to come back and get the lead. He elevates his game. He elevates those around him. And coming in for Jrue Holiday is a really hard thing to do. Not to mention, he has a bigger role this upcoming season, perhaps maybe even a more refined role. Because you have to think of all the structural changes the Celtics made last season. They got rid of Brogdon. They got rid of Smart. They brought in Holiday. They brought in Porzingis. Now that they're not doing anything to their roster, they know what's to be expected of Payton Pritchard. And also, there's a lot of drama around Pritchard last season. He was asking for a trade. He wanted to play basketball. I don't blame him. O'Shea Brissett's trying to do the same thing right now. But Payton Pritchard finally got paid because he completely popped off in the preseason, a.k.a. when preseason P was born, and then he realized what he could do on the Celtics squad. And we already touched on it a little bit, but look at the games played. 48 games played to every single game this last year. The points, the rebounds, the assists, all elevating. His field goal percentage even getting better, 47%. And then we know his three-point shooting has always been elite, but he realized he could do more than just shoot from downtown. Not to mention, he can also launch it from half court and make it every single time. He has become a really good deep three-point shooter. It's not like was a foot on the line. He's pulling up from Steph Curry places right now. Is he Steph Curry? Obviously not. But for a shorter guard in the NBA, he's learned what his role can be. And he's been an efficient ball handler, a playmaker. I love the way that he cleans the glass on both sides of the basketball. He talks shit. He's scrappy. He's a good defender playing behind an even better defender. Do I need to say anything else to convince you guys why Payton Pritchard is going to shock the NBA this year when people finally realize Pritchard is an absolute dog? And he could be in Boston for a very long time, even after his 4 years is up. Why? Jrue Holiday is 34 years old. That's pretty old for a guard, especially a father who has a family. Al Horford's still doing it at 38 years old, and he's a Dominican father of 5. But Holiday could be the next player to retire after Al Horford. That means if Joe Mazzulla keeps continuously progressing Payton Pritchard's skill set, he could be the next man up in the next few years when Jrue Holiday decides that his time is over. You got Payton Pritchard, Derrick White, Jaden Springer, who also is on the come up, and J.D. Davison. So with that being said, and showing you guys everything that Pritchard has done from 2022 to 2023, do you guys think he deserves more or less than 22.3 minutes per game? Should he be playing a bigger role this year, or do you think the role that he had for the Celtics last year was perfect? Because you got to remember, in Game 5 of the NBA Finals, he played 1 minute, he had one shot, and it was 100%, and that was a half-court buzzer beater that we all know and love. But does he need a bigger role? Let me know in the comment sections down below. While you guys are doing that, let me tell you real quick about my favorite way to get nutritious meals and not having to do any of the work, which is my favorite part. Go on ahead and get your Factor meals. I love Factor meals because they're easy, they're no mess, no prep, they're chef crafted, and they're actually dietitian approved. I've been trying to lose some weight even though bikini season is almost over, but I also really enjoy putting good things in my body that make me feel good, especially with what I do every single day. I need to make sure that I have good nutritious food because I have a busy schedule, and I know you guys do too. Football season's around the corner. You guys got kids running around everywhere. Sometimes you don't have time to make that chef-crafted food that you always want to, that you see on Pinterest and TikTok and whatever. So let it be delivered to you. You've got over 35 different options every single week, 60 plus add-ons, and you guys can choose from snacks, breakfast, dessert, lunch, dinner. Everything is 100% covered. So if you guys want to go on ahead and get started, all you've got to do is head on over to factormeals.com/chatsports50. That's going to get you guys 50% off your first box, and it's going to give you 20% off your next month. That's code chatsports50 at factormeals.com/chatsports50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is still active. The last thing about Payton Pritchard and why I think he's going to have the best season of his life the next year is because he also had a hell of an offseason. When you feel good, you play good. Payton Pritchard did a lot this season. We had Jason Tatum, Jrue Holiday, and others playing overseas in the Paris Olympics, but Payton Pritchard was the only Boston Celtic that was hand-selected to be on the Team USA select team. They get to practice against these guys. They get to showcase their skills playing up against AD, LeBron James, Jason Tatum, Steph Curry. And as you can see, Payton Pritchard is playing with a lot of good guys here on the select team as well. He said it was a really high honor. He absolutely loved it. And having that practice, I know, has made him better. He said, I don't understand anybody that wouldn't want to be here. You get to go against the best players in the world, see where your game is at, and try to improve. I guarantee you he learned a few new things this past offseason. And I think that PP elevated his game in the middle of the season, an historic season for the Boston Celtics. But now that he's got that ring, that confidence, knows more about his skill set, he can take that in the next year and shock the NBA. Plus, he got married. Everybody feels better when they're married, right, Shugs?
True.
true. And Blake Griffin officiated the wedding. How fun is that? He got his former teammate to officiate his wedding. He now fully has a ring on his finger. He's happily married. He played for Team USA Select Team, and he's about to get paid. What an offseason for Payton Pritchard. These are 3 reasons why I think he's going to shock the NBA. Starting off hot, getting paid, more refined role behind Jrue Holiday, maybe even getting some more playing time, and then having a hell of an offseason and just doing the absolute most with his time on the Boston Celtics. So if you guys are looking forward to more Payton Pritchard highlights, which does include the half-court shots that he always, without a doubt, makes, does not matter where it's from, go on ahead and spam your 11s in the comment section if you guys agree. And as always, hit that sub button for me. I won't lose to Nick Roloff in the Heat Report. Hit that sub button. Help us get to 39,000 by subscribing today.